You're listening to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a business coach for online health coaches who want to attract their ideal clients, stop feeling defeated by their never-ending to-do list, balance a healthy lifestyle with their growing business, and stop over-analyzing what everybody thinks of them so that they can confidently own their message and online presence. On this podcast, we dive deep into health information you can share with your clients, business strategy tips, and more. Let's get to it. Guess what? I have a new training for you. It is my free Overwhelm Masterclass and cheat sheet. And when you leave a written review on iTunes on the Health Coach Nation podcast and you email info@haileyrowe.com with the subject line podcast review and a screenshot of your review, I will email you the free Overwhelm Masterclass and Overwhelm cheat sheet. So I cannot wait to share it with you, and thank you so much for being a listener on this podcast, sharing your valuable time with me. And now let's get into the episode. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's training on time management. And we're going to make this whole thing a series because as I was planning, everything I want to say to all of you online entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, health coaches, life coaches who are struggling right now to build your business with very little time on your hands to work on your side hustle. Maybe you're working on transitioning to full-time in your coaching business, but you still have a day job and you got kids and you got a husband and you got friends and you got a life. And you're like, where am I supposed to fit this in? How am I supposed to manage my time? And as I was planning this for you guys and thinking of you, I was like, this has to be a 5-part series because A, you have a limited amount of time. So if I was going to dive into all of it today, it would be overwhelmed. And B, I think it's going to be better for you to have the bite-sized series and go along with me on this journey. So the next video for this series will most likely be Tuesday next week at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. And what I want you to do is stay tuned in the Health Coach Nation Facebook group for updates about when the next time management series video will be released. Most likely it will be next Tuesday, but sometimes I might surprise you. It might be sooner. I don't know. We'll see. But bottom line is I have to make this a whole series because we have so much to cover. And for those of you who are new here, I want to welcome you and say thank you for joining me. I work with health coaches, life coaches on growing their business online, booking clients consistently, focusing on the right things that make an impact in their business, the money-generating activities, the service-based, impact-based activities, and overcoming their mindset barriers. So today, we're going to dive into part 1 of the time management series. And I'm going to break down for you the way I see time management, the different pillars that are important. And each time we do a video, I'll go through one of those pillars in great detail. If you're one of my clients, you get way more than this. You get my time management module. You get all the ways that I do things with time management, the way I was able to transition from working multiple side jobs, side hustles, wearing so many different hats and having to have the switching cost of moving from thing to actually being full-time in my coaching business. And so I think you're really going to love that. So for those of you who are like, okay, here I am. I struggle with time management. Time is always my problem. Help me. I want to let you know that I have worked with clients who, for example, one of them has 6 kids and she homeschools them. And she runs a coaching business. And she's booked over 5 clients within 8 weeks of my group program. And that says a lot about her time management, right? And I have another client who has 2 kids, works full time, is getting her yoga certification, and she launched a group program during our work together, filled it, and now is launching a retreat and has already booked 4 spots. So it goes to show you, I'm not telling you this to brag, I'm telling you this because it's possible for you too. It is possible for you to grow your business even though you have other things going on. And anytime I hear somebody say, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have the time. I'm in another course right now, or I whatever, I want you to know you have to stop yourself and you have to change the story for yourself. And what we're going to, because I had a crappy attitude about time management, I'll be really honest with you, when I worked at a startup and also when I was trying to grow my coaching business while working other side jobs. And that crappy attitude destroyed any chance of hope that I would have had, okay, if I would have actually looked at my calendar and planned things out and been like, I'm going to find a way. But many of you guys aren't even willing to do that. So we're going to talk about this today, and I'm going to give you some suggestions, okay? So when it comes to time management, more productivity, more freedom in your coaching business, in your life and in your business, I want to let you know that there are 5 components to it, in my opinion, okay? Based on all the learnings I've done, based on all the mentors I've worked with, based on all the courses I've taken, based on all the businesses that I've worked with, time management really comes down to these 5 things. And they are your mindset and identity. So going back to my crappy attitude about time management, I used to be chaining myself to not having time because I just decided that I wouldn't make the time and find out what I could do. Planning, okay, so that's where time batching, that's where doing a time audit on yourself, all of that stuff comes in. We'll talk about that soon in future weeks. Routines, okay, so how you stack things, when you decide to do things matters, etc. Distractions, okay, so managing distractions, that's a big part of time management. Many people are focused on, they know all the things they need to do, but when it comes to actually doing it, it's really hard for them to manage distractions. How many of you struggle with that? Comment yes below if you do. And then the 5th thing is having systems built in to check in and having a fast bounce back rate. So what I mean by that is when you do get off track, when you do get distracted, when you do get shiny object syndrome, when you do have an emotional breakdown, when you do get a rejection, when you do have something go wrong or off schedule or off plan, you have a fast bounce back rate. And we'll talk about how to strengthen that in this whole series too. So I want you to comment below, which one of those do you struggle with the most? Which do you think is holding you back the most? Because for everyone, it might be different. For some of you guys, you might think it's the planning, but what you might realize is really you have a mindset that it can't be done. And so therefore, you're not going to try. Okay, so today we're going to pinpoint, we're only going to talk about one part of the 5-step series that I just shared with you. And that is your mindset and identity about time management and procrastination and distractions and all of that. So for me, when I was being sloppy with my mindset and my time management, my business was really, really struggling. And here is what was happening. So for example, when I was, I'll take you back to when I was doing many side jobs, wearing many different hats, driving one place and then coaching and then teaching a class and then all the different things, okay? I was not willing to do things unless I had the perfect conditions. And that was a big thing stopping me. And what was happening is, I was saying, I can't answer that person unless I'm at home and I'm seated and I have my coffee and my desk is clean and la, 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 la. And I want you guys to get out of this mindset that the timing has to be perfect, everything has to be set up properly, it has to be perfect, because otherwise you're never going to progress. When you're in a stage in your life where you're trying to build a business and you have side jobs and you have kids and you have a husband and you got to run around and do other things, you don't have the luxury of sitting at your beautiful desk and doing things, whenever it's perfect. Okay, you have to start somewhere. So when it comes to mindset, let's actually talk, let's dive deep into this and dissect some of the most common things I hear and see among coaches when they're trying to build their business and they're procrastinating or they're falling off track with their habits, their time management systems, etc. And before we get into that, I want to encourage every single person watching this to download the free Overwhelm Masterclass and Overwhelm Cheat Sheet that I've put in the description of this video. I'll put it in the comments right now as well. And also for Instagrammers, I put it in my bio. It's the only link there right now. Soon it will be a link tree. But go check it out. Download the training. You will not regret it. I think it's one of my best trainings ever because it's helped a lot of people overcome their overwhelm. It pinpoints the root causes of overwhelm, tells you what to do about it. So go get that free training. I have a worksheet to help you through it, and that's the first step. But let's talk about mindset now. So comment yes if you're watching, or hi. Say something. Say something. Don't be a stranger, okay? Same thing on Instagram, y'all, okay? Wave. Say hello. Okay, when it comes to mindset, here are the things that I see. Number one, people identify as somebody who procrastinates, always has trouble with time, always and forever, time is my struggle. I never follow through. You say these strong statements like that, and that you could be planning, I could give you the best time management things in the world, but if you identify as a person who is sloppy with your time and identify as a person who's lazy or anything along those lines, I can't help you. You got to change that part first. So I want you to see what you're hiding behind right now, because for me, I had to answer this question because we all hide behind this statement. If I had more time, I could blank, okay? And I want you to write down everything that comes up for you. If I had more time, I could, I would finally go on that vacation. I would finally have 3 clients this week. I would finally, be able to create that lead magnet I've been putting off. I would finally be able to be a balanced mom, like do all my different things, etc. And I want you to write all this down because these are the things you're giving your power away to. You're giving your power away to time, which is really something we all have the same amount of, and you just got to shift your priorities. You got to say no to more things. You got to get rid of the distractions, and we're going to help you do that through this series. But I first want you to stop hiding behind the excuse that if you had more time, your whole life would be different, because you're just saying that and it's not doing anything for you. So you can be extraordinary with only an hour a day to work on your business. There are stories, you guys, of women who have built businesses from their home in like 1 hour a day. Like that one client I mentioned who has a retreat and has a group program and is getting her yoga certification. She only has about 30 to 60, she has 1 hour a day to work on her business. That's it. And she blocks it out and we tell her exactly what to focus on. Okay, so if you are hiding behind this statement, if I had more time, I would blah, 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 my whole life would be different. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? And stop saying that and start actually doing something about it and getting support. Okay, and here's the other thing about time management. Who here has hidden behind that statement? Thanks, Jennifer, for watching. Comment yes below if you've said that statement before. I was saying in my business, well, if I had more time, then I would be booking clients. I would be having, I would be like this follow-up queen and all this stuff. And the truth was, I could have been doing that even with my 5 different jobs at the time. I just wasn't. And I wasn't blocking it out. I wasn't making it a priority. I was getting lazy. I wasn't restoring my energy enough to fit it into my schedule. It was my fault. Okay. And so everything you do with time, it's your choice. Your boss, yes, you have a boss. Yes, you might have to go to work. Yes, there might be consequences if you don't do something, but it really is up to you. And so I want you to take your power back and stop just blaming it and see actually what you can do to take your power back. The next thing when it comes to your identity and time is it's less about the actual clock hours, like, okay, 9 a.m. to 9:15, I'm going to do this. 9:15 to 10:15, I'm going to do this. Yes, that's very, very important, and we're going to talk about that in the series. But here's the other thing that's important. It's about energy management. So when we talk about time, there are people who get in the flow state and they get something done. They give themselves 30 minutes. They say, if I'm not done with this within 30 minutes, it's going out the way it is. So they give themselves this urgency and they get to it. And they're not thinking about, oh, should I say it that way? Or, oh, is this person going to judge me? Or is this perfect? Or, right? And so why I'm saying that time management is really about energy management, is because you can give yourself, it's going to take you as long as you give yourself. You can define how long you want it to take you, but what matters is that you're not adding mental drama, overthinking, perfectionism, procrastination, ooh, a shiny object over here, distractions, right? That's where the energy management comes in. You have to be like a queen at getting your mind, your mental energy freed up, so when you're working, you are actually working. And one of the things that I think entrepreneurs struggle with a lot is giving themselves a cutoff time, giving themselves boundaries, giving themselves the gift of doing their work without having negative thoughts about themselves, not enough syndrome, imposter syndrome, all of that. You don't have the luxury, if you have side jobs and you're transitioning and you're a solopreneur, it's not about you. You don't have the luxury of getting all up in your head about those things. You just have to get the work done. You don't have the option to be a perfectionist. You don't have the option to have imposter syndrome, because otherwise nothing's going to get done. So you have to change your identity to understanding and believing, hey, I could have 30 minutes to crack down on something. What's going to be the most impactful thing? And let's do it. And that at the end of the 30 minutes, it is what it is. And I'm done. And I'm not going to beat myself up over how perfect or not perfect it is. The other thing is, a lot of you guys, thank you for commenting, Nourish Brain. If you guys are watching on Instagram, let me know. And Jennifer's saying that if she had more time, she realized it came down to prioritizing, setting boundaries, and mindset. I do have enough time to do the things I want or need to do. It's so true, you guys. And we also tend to have this guilt associated with how we spend our time. And one thing that we're going to talk about in the next video when we talk about planning and time batching is how planning your time can make you feel zero guilt about when you plan in your free time, about being intentional and present during the times you're working versus the times you're playing. It's going to be a game changer for you. But anyways, let's go back to mindset and identity. So here's the other thing that comes up for so many people I talk to. They think there will be a better time, and they imagine, like they have this dream that all of a sudden in March, the money will come raining down on them. They will finally have more free time because their kids' play is ending, and they won't have to drive their kids to soccer practice 3 times a week, only 2 times a week, and, you know, blah, 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 right? But the truth is there's never a perfect time, and there's always going to be more. There's always going to be something else. Your to-do list will never be 0, okay? It just won't. And so we have to know there's always going to be more, and there's always going to be more things you want to improve on. And so you have to accept that, and you have to be willing to start where you're at and work with what you got and be messy and fail and, you know, have weeks of ups and downs, rather than thinking there's going to be a perfect time to dive all in and go all in and be consistent with that and give the same amount of time and have perfect balance and all of that. How many of you believe in true balance? And what does that even mean to you? Okay, because we all, when it comes to our mindset and identity too, we have this idea that you know, I want the perfect balance. The perfect balance looks like I have to work 6 hours a day and I have to have blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Okay, and we make it up based on either what we see somebody else doing, what the normal standards for the American worker's day is. Like, we have these weird things in our head just because it's the standard or it's what society does or whatever, and we think that there's going to be a perfect time we'll master that, and so we put off starting, or we procrastinate, or we just keep postponing something we know is going to help us grow and think there'll be a better time. And here was the thing too that I wasn't willing to do. Like, so, because you got to look at, if you are saying that and you are like waiting for the perfect work-life balance and things to open up and the money to come raining down so you can finally work with that coach or do that program or do that thing you wanted to do and make time for it, you have to either, okay, like, you have to get out of your own way and you have to stop saying that to yourself. Because I thought with my business, I had to make a decision. I was doing many different jobs. I was juggling a lot of things. I was tired when I was growing this. And I was like, okay, I hate this, so I either need to quit something, I need to be okay with all of this, I need to cut back on something, or I need to learn how to be a freaking master with my time. And I chose, you know what, I'm not willing to sacrifice this, or I'm not willing to cut this out, or I'm not willing to do whatever. Here is what I'm willing to do, and I'm also going to have to, I don't have the luxury of being sloppy with my time. I'm not going to watch TV. I'm not going to, like, you know, say yes to last minute fire drill things. There was a point where I had to decide that, because if I thought there would be a better time, I would never get this right, and I would hate my life. So instead I said, this is the time I'm in, and I have to learn how to juggle and ride the waves in this time of my life. So you guys, we all need to, there's no better time to learn time management than when you're in the worst, busiest period of your life. That is the perfect time to be like focused on this and be learning it and not be putting off your dreams and whatnot, okay? So who here has blamed thinking that there will be a better time on not managing their time at all, not starting what they want to start? Comment yes below. Okay, so my tip for you after this video, like I said, is to write down, if I have more time, I could, and write down all the things you want to be doing that you're not doing. And let's use that in the next video when we talk about batching and planning your time, because we have to know what you want to actually be doing and putting into your time. And the second tip that I shared is thinking that there will be a better time. I want you to also, here's a little exercise for you, because usually it's not the truth. You're not telling yourself the truth. I want you to ask yourself, okay, if I'm thinking there will be a better time, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think, okay, if it was, when would be the perfect time? The perfect time would probably be June 1st, because so-and-so doesn't have school anymore, and blah, 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 okay? And I want you to think about that, and then I want you to ask, is there anything else that comes up? Because most of the time, it's usually, there's more to it. Like, you're thinking it'll be a perfect time because you finally would have, like, let's talk about imposter syndrome, for example. If you're a health coach, I probably would have lost like 5 pounds by then, and I'll feel more confident in my body and more credible as a weight loss coach or something like that. Like, these are the kinds of things that I know are in your head. Like, it will probably be June, because I would have had a few weeks to like obsess over my Facebook Live environment setup. And by then I think I'll have the perfect video set up properly, right? And so these weird things that I know you're doing, and you're saying it'll be a perfect time in another month for some weird reason, and we need to address that and catch yourself and say, no, that is BS. The best time for me to start is yesterday, because I know this takes time, because I know I have to build my audience, because I know relationships take time to build, because I know business takes time, ebbs and flows, etc. Okay? So most of my clients, when I ask them, like, what do you regret, or like, what could be better in this program, a lot of times they say, I just wish I would have started sooner. I wish I would have done this, because I know that building a business is a whole transformation, and I wish I would have started sooner. So let's move on to the next tip. If you have any questions as we go, let me know. And thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer and Rachel. And on Instagram, thanks for joining us as well. Be sure to get that overwhelm cheat sheet. The link is in the description, and on Instagram, it's in my bio. Okay, so now, many of us are not, let's talk about the energy again. Many of us are not planning the most important things when our energy is best to do these things. Like, we have to, time management is also a study of yourself. So if you are struggling with time management, it could be that you're not working with your natural rhythms, okay? So for example, I know my life completely changed when I started batching days and having themes for afternoons or mornings or things like that. I didn't always have the luxury to be able to do that because of work, because of other things I was involved in. But I'm at a point now where, like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are my big call days. Like, I am on calls, I am in front of you guys, I am doing Facebook Lives, I am like alive and in front of my business. Thursday, Fridays have turned into this thing of, okay, now's the time for me to kind of retreat back, answer like emails, like do some of the back end stuff, a little more introspective stuff, and that kind of thing. And that's really helped my business because I don't feel exhausted from switching from one thing to another thing. And I also know when I batch call days, my energy is so much better because I'm like, okay, I have 10-minute break here. Okay, great. We're just going. It's done. I'm in that creative space and it's great, right? So not saying I don't make exceptions, not saying some weeks it's different, but I will say knowing myself and knowing that there are certain times of the day or there's certain times of the week where I do better on certain things has really helped. And so I want you to ask yourself, when's your energy best in the morning, like to do creative work, or when's the energy best to do it, your writing and things like that? Because the other thing I hear a lot of coaches say is, man, I struggle with content writing. It takes me like 2 hours to write a post. And the reason is because they're doing it like in the middle of the day, like, oh crap, I got to write my Instagram post. Oh, let me grab my phone. And they're shifting from something totally different to that. They're not in that headspace for that. They're not reflective, etc. Versus when you batch it, when you say, okay, on a Sunday, I'm going to go for a walk on my treadmill, and I'm just going to think about all my ideas for the week and the theme of the week and the plan and the strategy and write out my ideas, get something going, have my posts, etc. So you got to learn, study yourself and study when you work best on certain things, and that's really going to help you with your time management and getting more done. The other thing to keep in mind too is we sometimes, when it comes to time management, you might have the mindset or the identity that I don't want to batch things, or I don't want to set myself up to a schedule. I don't want to time batch because I like to be spontaneous. I like to do what I want to do when I feel like doing it. And for all you free spirits out there, I love ya. But here's the deal. When you are planning your week, you actually give yourself more freedom, because how many of you, when you don't plan and you say, I'm going to do what I feel like doing when I want to do it, your life goes by, you look back at the week, you haven't reached any of your targets, you're nowhere near your goals, and then when you're rolling into family things or time where you should feel freedom and be able to be present, you're actually feeling terrible, like you're feeling like I should be doing something else, and you're feeling this guilt. That is no way to have fun and be spontaneous. That doesn't feel very good. So I want you to think about how actually having more structure, having more planning, having more batching, doing things sometimes when you don't feel like doing them, in the long run leads to a lot more freedom and a lot more ability to enjoy at your presence when you're not working, and have that work and play shift in your head. So that's one thing I have to say about that. Now, when it comes to the overthinking, the perfectionism, overcomplicating your to-do list or your tasks, I want to talk a little bit about that, because many of you guys, here's the other reason why you identify with, I'm so overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed easily. I can't take on that much. I'm a lazy person naturally. All these identity thoughts, when you have those, the reason why is you just haven't broken things down far enough, and you haven't you're making it harder on yourself than it needs to be. So, for example, this doesn't have to be that complicated. You can right now, like, make a list of everything that's on your mind and that you feel like you have to do. Look at it, star the items that seem the most important, block them out for the next day, and then like revisit the list and like do it the next day. Reason why you're making this so complicated is because you're like, I need to have software tracking this, and I need to make it, you're making everything overcomplicated, or you have this idea in your head that so-and-so does it a certain way, so you have to do it a certain way, and that is no way to get things done, right? The easier you make it for yourself and the less stress you put on yourself on how it's done, the better you're going to feel and the more you're going to get done. So does anybody have any questions about time management when it comes to identity, when it comes to mindset, or anything else? Because through this series, like I mentioned, next video is going to be on planning your week and planning your day for your best productivity. But if you have any questions in the meantime, let me know and we can go through it. All right. Looks like we don't have any questions. Okay, so thank you so much for connecting today. And I do want to encourage you to go through the Overwhelm Masterclass, download the cheat sheet, use the link. I'll put it in the comments one more time here. And when you go through that and you then say, okay, Hailey, I did the Overwhelm Masterclass, I'm serious about changing the way I get things done, serious about focusing on the impact generating, money boosting, client boosting activities in my business, I want you to email me that you did the training at info@haileyrowe.com, and we can even go over it together. We can go over how you're planning your week, what you're focused on in your business. I can give a look over at your own time audit if you do one and give you some feedback. All right, so that would be a free intro call. All right, so I will talk to you guys soon, and have an awesome night. Adios.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Be sure to get your free gift over at haileyrowe.com by joining my email list. And remember, you can always connect with me and other health coaches in the Health Coach Nation free Facebook group, where I post trainings and videos on how to take your health coaching business to the next level. Can't wait to connect with you. Have an awesome day.